Hi, everyone. Welcome to another live demo by Xplenty. Today's demo is going to be on how to transform and load your data into MongoDB. And today, our senior solutions engineer, Teri Morgan, is going to be speaking. So I will pass it on over to her, but after the demo, there will be a question and answer section, so be sure to have your questions ready. All right, Teri, whenever you're ready, you can start.
Terrific. Hello, everybody. As Taylor said, my name is Teri Morgan, and I am a senior solutions engineer with Xplenty. I work with clients every day to help them solve their data challenges. Recently, I was working with a large medical organization. They had dozens of individual clinics with huge numbers of records. My client wanted to centralize those records into one Mongo database. Like most health organizations, they were faced with numerous challenges like handling PII and PHI data. They had inconsistent timestamps in their data, and sometimes the data was incomplete or entirely missing. Today, I will show you how simple it is to build a data pipeline in Xplenty that solves these common problems. Welcome to the Xplenty platform. For today's demonstration, we are going to build a connection to our Mongo database. Let's come in here. Okay, you'll find Mongo under the NoSQL databases. And then we'll name it. Okay, so we'll give it a name. Under access type, we're going to use the direct connection, although reverse SSH tunnel is also an option. So we need a host name. Here we go. And now we need our replica host names. And we need the second one. There we go. Okay, let's see. Our user name is Xplenty. Password, read preference. Let's see, our authentication database is admin. And then the database we're going to read from. Here we go, connect using SSL. Now we'll test the connection. Yay, we're successful. So let's create that connection. You can see it populates here in the list. For this demonstration today, we will also be using an Amazon S3 bucket and an SFTP server connection. I've already created those connections to save us a little time. So now we'll go over to the package editor. So in Xplenty, packages are where you're going to build your data pipelines. So let's create a new package. Here we go. Now, we'll just call this, oh, look at that, webinar demo, perfect. When you're naming your package, you can also add a description if you want. We don't really need one here, but sometimes we have large groups of teams of people that work in Xplenty. And so a description is helpful for them to keep track of what each of their data pipelines is doing. Now, under type, we have two different types of flows. Data flow is your basic data pipeline. You extract data from your source, you perform any necessary transformation, you load it into your destination, and that's a data flow. A workflow, on the other hand, allows the user to define a list of tasks. So a task can be a data flow, or a task could be an SQL statement. Then the user defines the conditions upon which you move from one task to the next. So in a sample workflow, you might run data flow A first. When it completes successfully, now I want to run data flow B. Or if it fails, I want to run data flow C instead. That is an example of a workflow. But for our demonstration today, a data flow is what we need. I'm going to go ahead and create that package. Okay, so in here, let's see. So in here, this is our blank canvas. If you're working in Explini, this is where you'll spend the bulk of your time. Now, one of the benefits of using a NoSQL database like Mongo is that it can handle large volumes of data at a high speed. Using a denormalized data structure improves the read performance of a database, and that's kind of what a NoSQL database like Mongo specializes in. So in our pipeline, we will be bringing in both treatment document, kind of the treatment document data, as well as patient document data, because we want to embed that patient data inside the treatment data to maximize the benefit of Mongo's performance. So we're going to start here by adding a component. So our treatment data is stored in an Amazon S3 bucket. Amazon is a file storage source. As you can see, I grab the file storage component. We'll drag and drop it wherever we like. Then we'll open it. So as I said, I already built that connection to the Amazon S3, and here it is. Let's go ahead and identify the bucket. Here we go. Now we need a file path. I've got a file path. Let's put it in here. While we're here, this is also our treatment data. So to keep track of what's coming in through this component. Now we come down to record type. It is a delimited value. It is tab delimited. This component also supports records of the type of JSON objects, or raw data can be read in here, for instance, like XML. But we're good with our tab delimited file. The first row does contain field names. Now we're going to click next. So now this component is connecting to that Amazon S3 bucket and making a connection to that file in particular. You can see that it's loaded in the schema of that file and moved all of those fields over to our selected fields. And then down here, you can see a preview of the data in that file and all the columns. Make sure that it's the data you're expecting to come in. And this looks like that data, that treatment data. In here, you can see, for instance, one of the challenges that my client had was timestamp data, and this is a pretty common problem. So you can see in the planned treatment date, this is a datetime object. And over here in syncdat, this is also a datetime object. However, this actual treatment date is in this custom date time format. My client would like to make this also a datetime object, just like these. So that's one of the transformations we're going to be performing. So let's go ahead. All of that looks good. Let's save this component. So now we have our treatment data coming in. We also need that patient data that I mentioned earlier. So it's in an SFTP server. So that will also be a file storage component. Let's grab it. Okay, and this is patient data. There we go. Then in our connection, we find that SFTP server connection. Okay, so this data is in a directory called patients. Then it is also a tab delimited file. So let's choose that. First row contains field names. Great. Now let's grab that data. Okay. So just like the other one, it grabbed that file. In this file, we have two fields coming through, both the patient ID as well as a name field. So let's go ahead. Now we'll save that. So now we have our two sources of data. We would like to join them together. So let's add a transformation component. Here in this list of transformation components, everything from distinct at the bottom up to and including sort. These are table level no code transformations. They're quick and easy to set up. So for us today, we are going to use this join component because I want to join this data. Let's move this over here and then we'll connect our patient data to it. Let's open it. You can see our inputs are up here. The join type, I would like a left join. I want all of the treatment data, and then I want any of the patient data where it joins together with that treatment data. So now I come down here. On the patient data side, it identified the patient ID as a field we might want. And then on the treatment data side, here is that patient ID field as well. So this will be our join key to join those two sets of data together. Let's go ahead and save it. Now we need to perform a little bit more transformation. So we've joined the data together. Now we need to, let's see, we needed to first transform that date field that I pointed out in the treatment data, transform it into a datetime object. And second, we have a name field coming in from that patient data. That is PII data that my client wants to make sure doesn't exist in his Mongo database in plain text. Like that's just, it's good best practice to make sure that that is hashed. So I am going to use now the select transformation component at the top. This is the component amongst those transformation components that gives us access to all of the fields. This in here, we can perform not just table level transformations, we can perform field level transformations. So we are going to transform our fields in this component. So in here, you can see here, for instance, that patient ID that's coming from the treatment data is here. We also have the patient ID that's coming from the patient data. Now, these are going to be the same. I don't really need both of them. So I'm just going to delete this second one. And then up here, where it's now calling it treatment data patient ID, I'm just going to rename that column. I would like it to be back just to the patient ID. That is sufficient for me. Okay. Why don't we deal with the name field first down here at the bottom. I'm going to click on this icon, which will open the expression editor. So inside the expression editor, we have access to the over 200 pre-built functions on Xplenty's platform. You can see all of these different functions. We're looking for a hashing function because we don't want that name in plain text in our Mongo database. So of these 7 or so hashing functions, I think I'm going to use this MD5 function. When I hover over it, you can see a tooltip that describes the syntax and gives us an example of the way this function works. So if I click on it, it brings that function name over here. I can put my name field in the parentheses, take a look, make sure that's how it works. Yep. Okay, so now I'll save it. So now you can see here, once the data passes through this step in the pipeline, it will now be hashed, which is perfect. That's just what we want to do. So the second transformation that we need to perform is on this actual treatment date. Remember, that was that strange, that custom datetime format. So I need a function that will allow me to convert that. I'm going to search for date, okay, to date, custom formats. That sounds perfect for us. Let's go ahead. I'll put my cursor there and click on that title. So the first argument that we need to pass into that function is that custom string that describes our date, which is perfect. That's that actual treatment date field. And the second argument is the example of the format of that date. And so I have figured that out already. Let me just paste that in here. Okay, so that's the format that it's currently in. We're gonna run it through this function, and when it comes out, it's going to return a datetime data type, which is just what we want. Okay, so now this transformation is ready. So at this point, we've handled our field, we've we've handled our date time field, we've renamed that patient ID field, and we've hashed that name field. So I think we're ready. Let's go ahead and save that. So at this point, our data is in the format we need it to be in order to be able to send it to our Mongo database. Here that is. Let's come down here, and now we will set up this component. So in here, we'll find that connection we built to Mongo. Now we're going to give this target collection a name. So this is, let's see, this is our treatment patient data. So I'm going to give that to its name. Now, under operation types, we can choose to insert it only or to merge with existing data using update and insert. I'm going to choose to merge it because this is a package, this is a pipeline that my clients are going to want to run over and over, that every time new patient treatment data is uploaded, we're going to run this package regularly and update this collection with that data. So I'm going to choose merge. The component is reminding me that I must select a merge key. So first I'll autofill and bring in all of our fields that are coming in. Perfect, we've got them all. Now my merge key is going to be this ID field here at the top. So I'll click that button. Now I will go ahead, everything looks great in here. I'll go ahead and save this. Okay, so now we have the data coming in from our treatment data, our patient data. We've joined it together. We've performed those transformations and we're ready to load it into Mongo. Before we run this job, we will want to run it through a validation step. In here, the program will comb through our pipeline, finding things like data type mismatches or maybe a schema mismatch, but no errors were found for us. So we'll go ahead now and run this job. Okay, so I already have a sandbox cluster up and running. It's found that, so that's terrific. Here is the name of our package. That's the one we want. And then in here as a third step, you have the option, the user has the option to edit the values of any of the variables that they may have created or any of these system variables that exist in Xplenty. Now, I think for us, all those default values are perfect. Go ahead and run that job. Okay, so while that job is running, let me show you our scheduler. So once we've built this package, once we've tested it and made sure that it works the way we want it to, we can add it to a schedule so that it spins up and runs automatically. So we'll just call it, let's see, this is going to be our webinar schedule. There we go. Okay, so when we're configuring our schedule, we have two options for how we define when the schedule executes. The first is to repeat every number of increments of time. And an increment of time can be as little as 1 minute or as much as months. So anything in here. I think that my clients are happy if maybe we run this package every day. So every day it's going to go and look for that patient and treatment data and load it into Mongo and perform those transformations. So that could be the way we define it. Now, on the other hand, maybe you have a custom cron expression and that would work better for you. So you could say, I want it to run every Monday morning at 9 a.m. or once a month at this time on this day. So either of those are options. Once you choose one, then you move to step number 2, where you configure the cluster. How long does the cluster stay open? Is it okay if this job does it need its own cluster, or can it use a cluster that's maybe already running from a previous schedule? Those defaults are fine for my schedule. And then the last step is adding a package to this schedule. So in here, we will find our package. There it is. Then we'll move on to the next step here. Let's see. You can see it says choose a package version. So here at Xplenty, we support version control. The default is to always run the latest version of the package. However, if I wanted a different version, I could select it from this drop-down menu. Then next, again, we have that option to edit package variables. Once you've done that, then you save this package and add it to the schedule. Now you can see we've added one package. However, maybe I have 5 different jobs that I want to run every day. I could add all 5 of them to this schedule, and then they'd be ready to run, and every time, once a day, they would spin up and run. So now we've created our schedule. Once our package is ready, we would just need to turn that schedule on and it would begin to execute. Let's go back over here to our jobs panel and see how our job is coming. Okay, you can see it here at the top. It's 100% completed. It took 1:18 to run, and now we've loaded that data into our MongoDB. So this concludes our demonstration today. Are there any questions?
Yes, there looks like there's been a few questions that came in while you were presenting. The first question is, can Xplenty read nested data from MongoDB?
That's a really great question. That's one of the advantages of Mongo is being able to store that type of data. So yes, Xplenty can read Mongo's nested data. That we have functions built into our platform to parse JSON, so we can extract the fields from within a JSON object. We also have a flatten function. If we're bringing in arrays, we can flatten that array out and parse out the individual fields within it. So yes, we can.
Great. Okay, is there any more questions? Give them a second. Okay, we have another question. They said during the demo, you hashed the data, but would it be possible to encrypt that data instead, just in case you need it again later?
Okay. Yes, so we used a hashing function on the data that my client didn't need access to those names again, but that's a good question because once you hash it, that the values of that field are gone. Xplenty also supports a field level encryption function. So we utilize Amazon's key management service. The user goes and creates a key for that encryption function. So the user maintains complete control over that key. They can then they grant us access for that encryption part of the key. So when the data is flowing through the pipeline, they set up, just like we set up that hashing function, you could utilize our encryption function, pass in that key as an argument, and then as the data flows through, when it ends up in their Mongo database or any other database or data destination, that the values of that field would be encrypted. They could later then decrypt them at their, whenever they needed that data back again.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you for answering that one. I know that was probably a popular question or something everybody was wondering. And then I think we have one more question, so this will be the last one. Are there any more demos like this, but with another destination other than MongoDB?
Okay. So Xplenty supports lots and lots of different data destinations. We have recorded videos like this one, and you can find them on Xplenty's YouTube channel. Now we also have an extensive knowledge base, which is written documentation about every database, every data warehouse, every data destination that we support, as well as all of the functions and components you saw on the platform. And you can access our knowledge base at xplenty.com.
Yes, exactly. You can also contact, Teri or anyone else on the Explain team. I'm sure would be happy to help if you have any questions when it comes to destinations or sources. So thank you, everybody. If we didn't get to your questions, we can respond to them via email after this, so look out for that. Or if you have any more questions that you can think of later that you'd like to ask Teri, you can reach out to her via email with her information right there. Or you can contact the Explain team and go to the Explain site at www.explain.com. So again, thank you to our audience for joining, and especially thank you to Teri for walking us through this amazing demo.
You're very welcome.
Bye everyone, and hope to see you on the next demo.